You just watched a goal. The striker runs away, the crowd explodes, the commentator loses his mind. Then everybody stops. One referee touches his ear. Another referee is sitting in a room you cannot see. And suddenly, the goal is gone. That is the moment most people meet VAR. It looks random. It is not random. It looks like football has been paused by a hidden court case. Is not checking everything. It is checking a very small set of decisions that can change a match completely. Once you understand what those decisions are, the whole interruption makes more sense. It is still annoying, but at least now it is annoying with structure. Here is exactly what VAR actually checks. First, VAR checks goals. This is the one everyone notices because it attacks the most emotional moment in football. A goal is scored, fans celebrate, players celebrate, the scoreboard changes. Then VAR quietly asks one question: was there anything illegal before the ball crossed the line? That question can mean several things. Was the scorer offside? Was a teammate offside and interfering with play? Did an attacker commit a foul in the build-up? Did the ball go out before the cross came in? Did the ball touch an attacker's hand before the goal? Did the referee miss something that directly created the goal? That is why a goal can disappear 30 seconds after everyone has already accepted it. The important part is this: VAR is not reviewing the entire match from kickoff. It is looking at the attacking move that led to the goal. That move is the crime scene. The ball went in, so now every important detail immediately before it matters. This is why celebrations feel different now. Before VAR, a goal was a goal unless the assistant referee raised the flag. Now, a goal is more like a strong recommendation. It still has to survive the system. Offside is the cleanest example. To a casual viewer, offside looks like a player was ahead by nothing. A shoulder, a knee, half a boot. The replay freezes, lines appear. Everyone argues about a body part nobody cared about 5 seconds earlier. But offside is not judged by vibes. It is judged by position, at the exact moment the ball is played by a teammate. Not when the player receives it, not when the crowd reacts. The exact moment the pass is made. That is why VAR can feel brutal. Football is fluid. VAR turns one frame into evidence. A perfect run can be ruined because one legal body part is slightly ahead of the second last defender. It feels harsh because the advantage looks tiny, but the rule is not asking whether the advantage feels big. It is asking whether the attacker was in an offside position when the ball was played. That is a very different question. Second, VAR checks penalties. This is where things get messy. A penalty is not just one decision, it is a huge decision. One foul inside the box can create a shot from 12 yards. In a knockout match, that can decide a country's entire tournament. So VAR checks whether the referee made a clear mistake on penalty decisions. There are two main directions. The referee gives a penalty, and VAR checks if it should be taken away. Or the referee gives nothing, and VAR checks if a penalty should be awarded. Sounds simple, it is not. Some penalty decisions are obvious. A defender misses the ball and kicks the attacker. The attacker is inside the box. That is not a philosophy debate. That is a foul. But many penalty decisions live in the gray area. How much contact is enough? Did the attacker initiate it? Was the defender already pulling out? Was the arm in an unnatural position? Did the ball hit the hand? Or did the hand move into the ball? Did the foul start outside the box and continue inside? This is why VAR does not magically end arguments. It moves the argument to a slower replay. The referee on the pitch sees the incident once at full speed from one angle. VAR sees it from several angles slowly. But slow motion can also lie. It can make small contact look violent. It can make natural movement look deliberate. It can make football look cleaner than it actually is. That is why the referee still matters. VAR can recommend a review. The referee can go to the monitor. But for subjective decisions, the referee still has to decide what the contact means. That is the hidden split inside VAR: factual decisions and judgment decisions. Factual decisions are things like offside position or whether the ball crossed a line. Judgment decisions are things like whether contact is enough for a foul, whether a handball is punishable, or whether a challenge has crossed the line. VAR is strongest with facts. VAR is messier with judgment. Football has a lot of judgment. Third, VAR checks direct red cards, not every card, not every angry tackle. Direct red cards. This matters because a red card changes the match instantly. One team goes down to 10 players, the tactics change, the spaces change, the emotional temperature changes. A red card in the first half can reshape everything that follows. VAR looks for serious missed incidents, a dangerous tackle, violent conduct, a player striking another player off the ball, a challenge that endangers an opponent, something the referee either missed or judged too lightly. But there is a line casual viewers often miss. VAR is not there to fix every yellow card. It is not a card polishing machine. If a foul should maybe have been a yellow, VAR usually stays out. If a challenge might be a direct red, now VAR has a reason to get involved. This is why two similar-looking tackles can produce different VAR outcomes. One tackle is reckless, but not a clear red. The referee gives yellow. VAR stays quiet. Another tackle has studs high, force into the leg, and serious danger. VAR calls the referee to the monitor. Same sport. Different threshold. The threshold is the whole system. VAR is supposed to deal with match-changing errors, not normal refereeing disagreements. That phrase sounds neat until you remember that every fan believes the decision against their team is match-changing. especially if it happens after the 80th minute, especially if they are losing, especially if they own a flag. Fourth, VAR checks mistaken identity. This is the least glamorous one, but it might be the easiest to understand. The referee shows a card to the wrong player. VAR can correct it. That is it. No tactical mystery, no deep philosophy, just the wrong person being punished for something someone else did. It sounds rare, and it is. But in a crowded penalty area with bodies moving, players shouting, and the referee trying to track everything at once, it can happen. A defender pulls a shirt. Another defender is standing nearby. The referee reaches for the card and picks the wrong player. VAR fixes that because the mistake is factual. Player A did the thing, player B got punished. That is not interpretation. That is admin with consequences. Now here is the part most people get wrong. VAR does not check everything. It does not check normal throw-ins. It does not check every corner. It does not check every minor foul in midfield. It does not re-referee the entire match from a secret room. At least, it is not supposed to. This is why you can see a bad decision and no VAR review. A player gets pushed near the halfway line, no review. A throw-in looks wrong, no review. A corner should have been a goal kick, usually no review. A yellow card feels soft, no review. The casual fan asks the obvious question, if the video exists, why not use it? Because if VAR checked everything, football would stop being football. Every match would become a court transcript with grass. The game needs flow, so the system limits VAR to the biggest decisions, goals, penalties, direct red cards, mistaken identity. That is the basic map. But the map does not remove the problem, it reveals the problem. Football was never a perfectly objective sport. VAR did not create controversy. VAR exposed how much controversy was already built into the rules. Take handball. Everyone thinks they know handball until the ball hits an arm in the box. Then suddenly nobody knows anything. Was the arm making the body unnaturally bigger? Was the player too close to react? Did the ball deflect first? Was the arm supporting the bot? Was it deliberate? Did the attacker gain an immediate advantage? The replay slows it down. The argument gets louder. VAR can show what happened. It cannot always tell everyone what it means. That is the difference. Same with fouls. One viewer sees contact, another sees simulation. One sees a defender winning the ball, another sees the follow-through wiping out the attacker. One angle looks clean, another angle looks illegal. The referee has to choose the football meaning of the contact. VAR gives evidence, it does not remove interpretation. And this is why the phrase clear and obvious matters. For many subjective decisions, VAR is not supposed to ask, could the referee have made a better decision? It asks, was the referee clearly wrong? That is a higher bar. This is why decision can look debatable and still stand. The referee gives a penalty, VAR reviews it, there is contact, maybe not much. Maybe the attacker sells it, maybe half the planet hates it. But if it is not clearly wrong, the decision may stay. That drives people insane because fans want the best decision. VAR is often designed to correct the worst decisions. Different job. Now let us talk about the room. The VAR room is not magic. It is a team of match officials watching the same match through cameras. They can communicate with the referee. They can check incidents in the background. If they think a serious mistake happened, they tell the referee. Sometimes the check is silent, you barely notice it. A goal is scored, VAR checks the build-up, everything is fine, kickoff happens. Sometimes the check becomes public. The referee waits. Players gather, fans start whistling. The screen shows checking goal or checking penalty. Nobody in the stadium knows how long this will take. Time stretches, every supporter becomes a lawyer. Then there are two possible endings. VAR confirms the decision, the game restarts. Or VAR recommends an on-field review. That is when the referee goes to the monitor. This usually happens for subjective decisions, penalties, red cards, fouls in the build-up. The referee watches the replay and makes the final call. That monitor walk is football theater now. The referee jogs over. Players follow from a distance, pretending not to apply pressure while absolutely applying pressure. The crowd reacts to a replay they may not even see properly. The referee watches for 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Then comes the gesture. Decision changed. Or decision confirmed. Either way, half the stadium is convinced justice died. Now, why does this matter so much at the World Cup? Because the World Cup compresses pressure. A league season gives you months. The World Cup gives you a few matches. In a group stage, one disallowed goal can change who advances. In a knockout match, one penalty decision can end 4 years of work. The same VAR check that feels annoying in a normal match feels enormous in a World Cup match. The decision is not bigger because the rule changed. It is bigger because the consequence changed. That is the World Cup effect. A striker can be offside by a tiny margin and a country stops breathing. A defender can leave an arm out and rewrite a tournament. A goalkeeper can save a penalty that only exists because 3 officials in a room spotted contact the referee missed. This is why VAR feels so powerful. It does not just correct decisions, it changes the emotional order of football. Before VAR, football had one clean emotional rhythm: goal, explosion, restart. Now the rhythm has an extra beat: goal, explosion, suspicion, review, judgment. That extra beat changes how people watch. Fans celebrate while looking at the referee. Players glance at the assistant. Commentators say, this will be checked before the replay even arrives. The goal is still the best moment in football. It just comes with a loading screen. But VAR also solves real problems. Before video review, a player could be clearly offside and score. A defender could punch the ball away unseen. A violent off-ball incident could be missed entirely. A referee could make one huge error and have no way back. VAR gives football a second look at the decisions that matter most. That is the trade. More accuracy, less flow, more evidence, more weighting, fewer obvious injustices, more microscopic arguments. Nobody gets everything. The people who hate VAR usually hate the interruption. The people who defend VAR usually defend the correction. Both are sensing something real. The interruption is real. The correction is real. The problem is that football is not built like tennis or cricket. It does not naturally stop after every action. It flows through mistakes, collisions, advantages, and judgment calls. When you add video review, you are adding a pause button to a sport that was designed without one. That pause button can save the match. It can also suffocate it. So what should you watch for next time? Do not just watch the referee touching the earpiece. Watch the category. Was it a goal? Then VAR is checking the build-up, offside, handball, fouls, and whether the ball was legally in play. Was it a penalty? Then checking whether the referee clearly missed or wrongly gave a major decision inside the box. Was it a red card? Then VAR is checking whether the incident reaches direct red territory. Was it mistaken identity? Then VAR is checking whether the right player was punished. If it is not one of those categories, do not expect VAR to arrive like a superhero. That is not the job. And if the referee goes to the monitor, understand what that means. It usually means the decision contains judgment. The video has raised a serious question, but the referee still has to answer it. VAR is not a robot referee. It is not a football judge hiding in a bunker. It is a filter. It catches the biggest possible errors and sends them back into the human system. That is the strange truth. The most advanced review tool in football still ends with a person making a decision while 80,000 people scream at them. So the next time a World Cup goal disappears, do not just ask whether VAR ruined the moment. Ask which door the decision went through. Goal check, penalty check, direct red card check, mistaken identity, factual line, human judgment. Once you see the doors, the system stops looking random. You may still hate the decision. That is allowed. This is football. Hating decisions is part of the architecture. But now you know what VAR is actually checking. Not everything, not every mistake, not every argument. Only the moments big enough to change the match. And at the World Cup, that can mean changing everything.